Okay, Kelly, this is my Marauder. I never got it back. One of the first things I seen when I was down in Toronto, I never said anything there. It was kind of, I don't know, expecting it to be, the yellow would be perfect, that they advertised that they're 100%, but as soon as I got the car home and had a look under the hood, the first thing you notice, as soon as you open the hood, the bolts that held the hood had hood lock on were horrible bolts with way bigger washers, and it just turned your stomach then. So I found I had restored the old 41 Ford pickup and had some old bolts here that I put in so that you could match things up. And then from there it just started. It just went on and on and on. But first of all, Kelly, the wiring, they had put loom on the wiring and put horrible plastic white clamps on it. Now, it might look okay in a hot rod, but this thing, I wanted it perfect. So, you know, we did it just like Ford. We took it all off and got some right-looking clips and then retaped it all and brought it around and done it just the way Ford did. And but you have to, and then from there we went and the charging system wouldn't work. It showed on the gauge that it was charging. Well, they had the ammeter gauge hooked up backwards, so that when you had the key on and the motor running with the stuff drawn, it showed as charged. And so then you go to the battery and the wiring to the alternator. Whoever did it didn't know how to wire up the alternator because they hooked a power wire direct from the battery to the alternator and hooked it up like a GM. Well, it burnt the regulator out, and so we had to put a regulator in it, and a new battery. The battery, I took pictures of it and that, and the battery cables. And they took and they mounted this upside down so water would run in it and it wouldn't work right. So by the time you had to just keep working away and getting everything correct, hot air pipe to the carburetor. The hot air pipe to the carburetor, what they did, Kelly, they put a mini clamp on it, one of them screwing. Well, they never come in. Mini clamps weren't made till the 90s, and this is a 64. So, you know, just all those things that are wrong with the car, or were wrong. It's coming really, really quite good. Then the distributor, Kelly, they had it not lined up the way it's supposed to be, straight like this when it was built. They had it coming out over here. So, of course, I had to pull that out and put it in and redo the timing, which is no big deal, but still, it's not the way it was then.
Not the right workmanship.
No, and then had no hose on the expansion tank of the radiator, and but it had sprued all over the engine, and because it was full, and I guess when they loaded it in the truck and unloaded it, motor must have got warm because it had it all covered with antifreeze because it just, when the cap released, away it went. But
Then how about the hood mounts?
although the hood mount, yeah, it had the one bolt, but I took movies of it, Kelly, and we had to retap it. We tapped it out to a metric size so we could so it would be good, but it was just stuck in there, and then they had a little clip holding it in there. And I think I took pictures of the clip before too. And no, it's good now, or it will be for good. And then we go around and look at the interior. The interior, it was done very good, but the car come back filthy dirty. The inside had grease and stuff on the seat. Just, it looked like nobody cared. Then the front doors, this was all buckled back, turned back this way, so it just had to have a screw put in it. but just the things like that that had to be done. And then,
How about the seats?
well, the seats, yeah, that was a big thing, and they knew about it, and they said they fixed them, and all they did, they didn't even try to lower the seats in the inside on the cushions. They took these out. I got these brand new. The guy in Red Deer put the proper stops on, the proper adjustments. They just stuck bolts in those holes so the seat would really lay back, so you'd get yourself some head clearance. But those stuff, that was all available in order. So when you got into the car, I have a little bit of headroom, but he couldn't do any better with the foam. But without a hat on and that, it's okay. I got a little bit of room. It should be still down a bit, but he couldn't get them no more than they are. The seats, because of way.
You bought this car brand new, and you know how it felt
Yeah.
when you
Oh,
sat
yeah.
in it brand new.
Yeah.
And for the
seats-
amount of money that you paid for the
Yeah.
car,
the front seats, Kelly, they come out flat at the front, and they were flat, they kind of sunk in, and then the edges were up to there. And if you go look at a 64 Galaxy Ford, that's the way the seats are. We couldn't find a Mercury with the two seats and that, but the guy did the best he could. Now I can get in it and sit without my head hitting the top of the thing. But then when we got to the wiring, it was one of the first things that we did to get everything working properly. It was a nightmare the way that the wiring had been cut off, even an inch from all the little bulbs in the dash and nothing. It just, you wouldn't believe it. And then they hooked them back together as butt connectors and soldered them, and so we completely redid underneath the dash. It's completely, and I don't know if you can get a camera under there, Kelly, and see, but it's if you get up underneath and take it, it's pretty near. Well, it's just about perfect now. I mean, we retaped it, we redid everything, took all their mess out of there and fixed it all up. And then,
and that's you in a hired hand.
well, me and Gene Gallagher, yeah, I'm a hired man. And then when we were doing it, we seen there was water spots all over, stains all over on the inside of the heater core. Well, they never got the screws up in the dash, and it must have rained in the plenum up there, because I don't know how else the water could have got in there and then run down on the floor. And we got that fixed up. Radio doesn't work and the clock doesn't work. Now this is a big deal because they said they sent it out twice. Well, the clock, you cannot turn the adjusting knob and it won't go, and the radio won't go. So we've got power to everything, but it won't work. But we'll have to find a place. Or Joe McBrien's got one, but it's a 4-door identical, and we'll maybe get it and try and get it fixed. But that's down the road.
Now, in what the work order said, they had it fixed and it was all working, right?
Yeah, everything was working. Yeah, it was all right. But further to the inside, the back window, when they put the molding on the back window, they got it lip over lip the wrong way.
And that was one that I
yeah,
helped you out with.
Yeah, you helped me fix that, and we got that fixed. But yeah, that's.
Now, how about the suspension pop?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
I want to show the rest of the body that we have to. Well, Jane and I will have to. You'll have to help me and get it done. But here's the windows. The windows are not. They weren't adjusted right. So that when you drive down the road, I know these old cars, they got wind noise and that, but this one's especially bad, and I don't like this here. I don't like it. The stops, just all it has to be done is the stops brought up and adjust the back window so it comes. So we'll go around to the other side. This one here, they got this pretty good. They got this nice. But the back window, come on, Kelly, you look in there. See, you can see inside the car. You know, this has got to come away ahead, so I got to get at that stop, bring that up. So all 4 panels got to be pulled off and redone, you know, properly. Now, if you just were wanting the car to, you know, you just want it to show people that don't know nothing about a car, that's all right. And maybe that's the way they redo them, but I don't like that. It's got to be done right.
So, Pop, when did you buy this car?
Bought a brand new in '64, yeah.
And how long have you been a mechanic?
Oh, since before '64, since about '62. But I sent them, give them my license and everything. But now from underneath the car, Kelly, they didn't put in one of the big rubbers that, you know, are for draining the car and stuff. So to get that rubber in, you can't put it in from dust rubber. You can't get it in from the bottom because above the transmission, it's got to go in the top. All this has got to come out again, put it in, because it's right underneath there.
Down
So
underneath
all
the console.
Yeah, it's got to all come out and redone. And I had to put a screw in this side. And then this, the vent, there was no vent in it. I went and got that out of Joe's. That was missing out of the heater, you know, out of the vent.
Mm-hmm.
And that was missing.
Down underneath on this side.
Yeah, and that was missing. So, you know, I gotta fix these and that, and then, oh yeah, the front bumper, Kelly, let's talk about the front bumper. That drove me incredibly insane. Now, the front bumper, when it come back, this was way down, and you could look in, see it. And the lines are supposed to be followed, eh? Perfect. And then so when I went and started adjusting, I had all these big 1/2-inch washers on 7/16 bolts, and it just looked terrible. So I shimmed it and got the bumpers on right. But what my point is, it should have been done. It should have been done in the first place. You know, I mean to slap the thing back on there and then and get the wrong washers on it, and then it come back crooked. That's another thing. But it's lined up. Then the suspension, that's a big one. I mean, they've got pictures of the springs cut off and all the stuff that they did. But the car was 2 inches too low. It was just like a low rider, and it didn't ride. I hit out for a little drive. I drove from the truck. It didn't ride good because it was so low to the ground. Come here and take a picture from the side, Billy. Get the height of the tire and the white wall, and you'll see. They've got pictures of it when they got it. It was low because the springs were gone. But then they tried to put springs in it. I'm thoroughly convinced they got the wrong springs in it, and then they went and cut them off. And what a mess to go with. And then, so we had to buy a spring compressor so Jane could get the new springs if I wasn't here. And Jane got them in there, and then we went over the whole front end. I mean, they never greased it. They're just, to me, it was terrible. But anyway.
And what happened with the
then the back springs, it was 2 inches low on the one side, on this side. It was 2 inches low. Now they claim they put new springs in it. Well, we've got the old springs, but it looks like they got them out of another car. And so we put all new springs in it, and it rides beautiful again now. It rides really good, but and new rubbers, new everything, new spring hangers, new shackles, not shackles, but all the new rubbers. I want to show you something, which is hard to believe of anybody. Kids doing it, or anybody. You cannot, I would not believe this if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. When this fits in the center bolt in the rear end, you see? And that holds it from going back and forth, Kelly. So when they did it, they never got the center bolts in the holes. So that makes the car out of line. See, this one here is okay. See there? See? Would you say that's new rubbers, Kelly?
No, I don't think so, Pop.
I don't think so neither. And they charge for all that stuff. And so when you put these rubbers in and you get them out that far, the car's dog tracking like a son of a gun. I mean, it's pretty well incredible. So we put all new stuff in it, and we put all new stuff in it. I'll just get it all. I've taken so many pictures of this stuff out of that car that I have to drive you insane. It had the wrong headlight switch in it. We had to wire in a relay and get another switch, and it took James days to get that fixed because and this is the wire they had on the alternator, Kelly. You know, I mean, how can, and then cover it up. I mean, how can you do such work? I can't believe it. And then here's the U-bolts. Now they said they're new. They likely are, but this is all the rest of the stuff. You know, the wires and all that. I don't want to lose any of it because.
Documentation.
No, and look at the battery, Kelly. I mean, I've taken pictures. They've got pictures, but we'll do it again. I still can't believe anybody. Anyway, this Autolite battery. By the time we got it, I think it was about $600-700 with freight and duty, and it's been hooked up backwards, and I think charged so many times. Look at this post, Kelly. Look at how anybody could tighten up something that tight. I've never seen a battery done like that, where somebody just kept tightening it and tightening it. And then we got it. Here's this here. Look at this post. Broke right off. That's the way we got the car. And somebody's been boosting it and boosting it and boosting it. You know? And the other one, they just took and squeezed her so hard that, yeah. And cover all your mess up with this goddamn junk. You know, this junk, I mean, I shouldn't swear, but. And then this is the motor mount. They had 2 right-hand motor mounts in the car. This is the one we took out of it. So we had to go to Joe's old car and jack it up and get the left-hand mount and put it in this car. I got to buy a new left-hand mount. But because the drive shaft come out and was hitting on the side of the car, on the tunnel in the transmission. And when we lifted up, we couldn't figure out why would that be. But we found out it was the motor mount and finally settled it back down. So when the motor got sitting in there and lined up, and it made a whole lights of difference. And the rear end, they have a video of it, but when whoever set the rear end up, that didn't get the rear end set up right and had about a quarter to half inch clearance. So when you put it in gear, it would go clunk. And then driving down the highway, I only drove it about 2-3 kilometers. I didn't even get to Jeans, and it was just so bring her back, and then we put it in and took it apart, thinking we'd have to put all new parts in it, because when a crown gear and pinion gets set up wrong, it's really hard to get the noise to go away. It's got a little whine now. Well, we just reset everything and redid it and put it back in there, and it's good now. We put it in gear, just don't no clunk or nothing, and it very little whine on the highway. I can live with that. You know, to get rid of that whine, you'd have to redo the whole rear end, but I can live with that. But that was another thing that was this car. But I've got pictures of the exhaust, Kelly, but how they did the exhaust to me is incredible. They left it hanging down a good 4 to 5 inches while I measured it, but they got their emergency brakes on the wrong side. They burnt the plastic off the emergency cable, so I'm going to have to replace them. Got to completely do the exhaust. I mean, I got to get hangers, everything, because they mounted it solid, and I want it back the way it was. And I'll do whatever I have to, but I'll find out. I got to buy a whole new exhaust. I don't know what they did to the manifolds, but they're drilled out and bolts are in them, and I'll get 2 new manifolds and replace them and replace the complete exhaust.
Now, the reason you did this car, Pop, was for? Just
for my own, was a manifold, that's something else. It's an anniversary car, 25-year anniversary for Ford. And it's nothing special, but the paint job in the interior was made it special. And so Ford, after I had it a couple of months, here in one day in the mail, I get these especially built for Russell A. King, a couple of them. Now, I sent them down there and they've never come back, and those are really important to me. Why would I sent them down there to show that it was an important car, and they never sent them back. It had a brand new set of stainless steel, Murray had them, set of stainless steel fender skirts. And they never come back, they never.
Now these pieces that said specially built for Russell A. King, where were they supposed to sit, Pop?
Well, they were from Ford Motor Company, and then they were originally on the door panels. This has different door panels, and you can't put them on it, so I would have put them on somewhere in the car, or I would have just saved them and put them in the glove compartment, because it's something pretty important to me. Then the fender skirts, and I asked them to send me back all the old parts too. I even give them autonomies. We still had King on them. I had a good charge account with them, and they would bring them all the way back. Never got one thing back. The fender skirts were brand new, and they never come back. And my little decals, and Wally Schumann Sr. Took them off this car, and he saved them for over, 30 years in Murray's shop, because the car was up on blocks in Murray's shop for all that time. But and then the gas tank, Kelly, lots of rocks, marks, and most of them I put in because it was really tough roads in them days. And I had even breezed it up, fixed it, because I had a leak in it. And then I had a big flap on it at the end. Well, they took that, and whether they couldn't get a gas tank or not, but Mr. Gas Tank in the States says he can give me one. So they went and fixed it, but the problem being, it's likely good, but the car is I want it perfect. So the gas tank, when you look underneath the car, first thing you see is a dented up old gas tank. And so who wants that? I don't. So anyway, in the oil pan, they done the automatic for $1,200. And they couldn't even tap now they didn't do it, I can't blame them, but you gotta blame them because they were the contractor. And whoever did the transmission, maybe it's okay, I don't know, I haven't had time, can't drive the car too much. So they didn't even tap out the oil pan, just left it all dented up. And so when you look under the car, first thing you see is this, and the exhaust hanging down, and you just get sick because and maybe some people don't know when they're looking at the car, but you know what it's supposed to be like, okay? And it just goes on and on and on. Every time we do something, you find something else. And so the big thing now is the rubber gauntlet over the transmission. Get the new exhaust on it. Get the new pan. Oh yeah, another thing. The engine oil pan. I mean, I think they had lots of trouble with this car over stupidity because they had to put a new pan on it. They had to redo the motor, and they had to get the crankshaft cut, while it had a good crank in it. But the first job, something happened to it. I think the A-frame swung back and dented the oil pan, and they drove it not getting enough oil. But anyway, they put on a chrome oil pan on it, but they painted it black. That was okay, that's not a problem. But you have to prep the pan first, you have to sand it and prep it and prime it and then paint it, or it's all going to fly off of chrome, it won't stay on chrome. Well, that's the way the pan is, it's all flaking off. And I took a spray bomb and touched it up a bit in case people come along and have a look at it. It's just embarrassing, it's just embarrassing. So,
And what happened with the frame when it swung out and hit the oil pan?
Oh, I don't know. I just seen pictures of it. They said that the guy, they had to take it back to get the suspension adjusted. So when he took the ball joint off, he must have let it swing. Them springs, they're so big and powerful. Bang, it hit it. But if you don't have the proper tools to put springs in these old cars, you're going to just make a mess because you get. But the car.
But these are people that rebuild cars every day. That's their.
Yeah. But like, you take this car for a ride now, it's totally different ride, it's totally, it really is a nice riding car now. See, Kelly? It's very nice riding car. And, but I've been going around putting the right washers on it and, oh yeah, and send the car back with these. You know, these are your turn signal indicators, right there, little bulb in there. Well, they never hooked that up. Just had to trace the wires back and find the wires and get them all hooked up. But those, you know, those are just little things. But you can't. See, Kelly? See how nice they are?
And they didn't work when you got them back.
Oh, no, well, they weren't part of it.
Now you pulled out the engine as well, Pop, and
No.
redone it?
No, but I don't know, it may have to be done, I don't know. It seems okay, but like I said, I haven't got 10 kilometers on it total. And we just got the rear end done before it got cold, and I'm gonna go out there and do it then. And I knew I gotta order the exhaust, transmission pan, and the gas tank, and emergency cables. And I'm gonna get them in the States this year, and then I'll come back through the customs and just pay my 5%, and I'll have the parts at a reasonable price. And,
Do you got a flashlight, Pop? We can look at the exhaust and everything underneath.
oh, you can, we could, but I don't know if they've got pictures of it, Kelly. Well, we took pictures of it, it'd be okay.
Okay.
All you can see is go this way, and you'll see how they're hanging down.
There's a big one on the shelf there beside you, Pop.
But you see, no, just straight across there, Kelly. See right there? See?
Hanging away down.
Yeah, hanging. Oh, yeah, they're way down. They don't follow they're supposed to follow the contour. And whoever built the exhaust didn't follow the contour of the car. And then the mounts at the back are all solid. But you got to get it back. It starts it starts up at the front, and then it just goes right back to where they hang way down, Kelly. Even when that guy unloaded it out of the trailer in Edmonton, when he unloaded it,
It was,
he had to scrape it off.
and it was down underneath the axle, or was?
No,
No, but didn't it come down underneath the front axle or something like that, or underneath the A-frame?
just on his frame, just on his ramps.
Ah, I see.
It has those full ramps, not one like the car carrier's got. It's got a full ramp, and the car carriers are open in the center, so it would never have hit. And then I thought of something else I wanted to say, but oh yeah, asked for Michelin tires from. Given the numbers and everything, and I wanted Michelin's, and they come with these American Eagles, which are twice the price of a Michelin.
You probably don't even ride as nice.
Reproduction, you know. But Michelin make a tire that just looks like that. But that's just, I don't mind that. I can live with that. It's just all the other stuff.
Well, and the amount of money that you spent on it, and the amount of time now that you're spending in extra
But if
money.
you look at the lines of the car now, the way the stance is, you know, it's looking good. But I'd like to get yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. The money I spent on this car and to get it the way it was is just not right. It's just not right at all. And then having the feeling that maybe the goddamn motor, I know that you know, you put cuttings all through an engine, it's not a good engine after that, no matter. And then the transmission, I mean, whoever did it didn't care because just left all the dents in it. That's about it, Kelly.